Hello, everybody. My name is Kate High. I am the founder of Forward Healing Incorporated. Tonight, I just wanted to share a little bit about the mission and testimony behind what Forward Healing Incorporated is, how it came to be, and what the hopes are for this. So, actually, 4 years ago, today into tomorrow, so April 28th through April 29th, I was faced with being sexually assaulted. I had gone out with a friend for her birthday, and, it was a good time. We had a great time. And I found myself at a party afterwards. And it was just like every normal average night. I had, at the time just spent 4 years in college and was kind of in this rough party season of my life. And never in a million years did I think I would be faced with that in my life. And looking back at that moment, I was so angry at everyone that was involved with that situation. So not only the abuser, but the friends that I had entrusted my life around that I felt like had failed me in that moment. But they didn't. They didn't fail me. That was not my place to put on them. Because nobody can account for the actions of a person who wants to do evil things. And so that next morning when I woke up, so the morning of the 29th, I knew what had happened right away, because it was something completely unlike I had felt ever before in my life. To this day, I'm pretty sure that I was drugged, but that, there was never enough evidence to prove that had happened. But I woke up and my clothes were off from the bottom half down. And I was woken up by an alarm that went off on my phone that day. And when I looked at it, I had 5-10 minutes to get to work that Saturday, and I was freaking out. So when I came to and realized where I was at, what happened, I yelled out, like, where are my clothes? And this shadow of this person looking back at me tossed them in my face. Like I was trash, like I was worthless. And so in that moment, all of those feelings started to flood in, that I was used, that I was no good, that I was worthless. And I had been abused. I got very angry. I got very confused. I didn't quite know how to wrap my head around the situation. So that day I got myself around and I had to go straight immediately into work. And when I got clocked in, I ran into the restroom and just tried to process what had happened, and I was bawling. When I finally got myself together, I had asked to go home, and I had had so many amazing things planned for that weekend that didn't get to happen. I had a friend coming up who was going to go to a wedding with me that I didn't end up going to. It was my sister's prom day, and I was supposed to go help with, hair and taking photos, and didn't get to do that. And so I just was in a very lost place. About 3 days later, I finally found the courage to approach it to my mom, but in a way that it was like, Mom, something happened to my friend. And with that motherly instinct, I will always remember the strength and that warrior that I saw come out of my mom in that point. And she said, everything's going to be okay. She called one of her friends who was a nurse, who has known me my whole life, and just kind of shared the story of what had happened. And she, recommended the Sexual Assault Treatment Center in Fort Wayne. So we gave them a call and immediately met them down there. And if you guys have never heard of this facility, it is a life-changing facility, a facility that DeKalb County, Noble County, Fort Wayne, and all of the counties that surround Allen County are so blessed to have, because otherwise you have to go to a hospital, and it was in an intimate setting. I felt safe. I felt just cared for in this frightening, fearful, not sure what I was going to do about this. For anybody who has ever had to go through a rape kit, it is the most awfully degrading thing you will ever experience in your whole entire life. I wouldn't say worse than actually what happened, but it is just hard. It is just very hard to go through. I was really blessed. The lady there, Angela, really took care of me, and asked if I had wanted to turn it in. They, called an officer to come. But in order to share my testimony, I had to go back to the courthouse. So I did, and gave my statement and everything to them, of just what I could recall from the night, the names that I had kind of gathered through my head. And it was a situation of, I just wanted to know what happened. That's it. I just wanted to know what happened to me. In the midst of being angry at the situation, I tried pushing so many people that were close to me away. So if you were one of those people, I am very sorry. I feel like for the most part, I've tried to mend a lot of those relationships and those different things. But it's a feeling that nobody ever wants to go through. There was little things that happened throughout that situation that I so see a purpose for and changing, whether that be, the questions that officers ask you when you're in, and giving your statement about things, from what were you wearing should never be a question that anybody asks you. And two, the Sexual Assault Treatment Center, when you leave, and I think it's just, a process from everybody, but they hand you a packet. They hand you a packet full of all this information. And to me, a few days after, when I had the courage to open that, I looked at it and I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? What am I supposed to do? It was another hurdle. It was another step of trying to figure out, now that I've moved forward into sharing and getting the rape kit done and dealing with all of that. Now I had to figure out how it's going to move forward. I found a counselor. I don't know if it was the best counselor for me, because again, I was just handed a packet that basically said, figure it out. That was a hard thing for me. So, as we continued to move through the days, eventually, within 2 weeks, after they had questioned different people, somebody had actually came, and had confessed. They had confessed that it had been consensual and that it had been 3 times, but that I don't remember any part of it. So that was a really, really hard fact to face when the detectives told me that. So I continued to move through the days, finding those things that did help with my healing. From yoga was a really great thing. Painting and art, scrapbooking, different things that just were creative and could kind of take my mind off of things. I got really big into music, just listening to music all the time. WBCL, country music, anything that I could really think of to just help. We have a path down in Auburn, the Reiki Park Trail, and for me that still is my go-to place when I just need to clear my head, when I just need to release any of the tensions and anxieties that I'm feeling. I plug in my headphones and I just run, and that was a very healing thing for me too. When it came to dealing with the different anger and things like that, that took me a little bit longer to get over, but I eventually got myself to a place. So early May is when, we're talking 2016 here. So April 28th, April 29th of 2016, it happened. I didn't turn anything in until about May 1st-ish. It took until about May 8th for them to figure out who had confessed. But then that person was not arrested until October of 2016. So then from that point, October 2016, throughout that whole next year, was a year of depositions, what was supposed to be trials that just kept getting pushed back. And I was just done. I was done living in this. I was done feeling this way. And October 2017, so we're a whole year from when he got arrested to what was going to come next. And I just remember waking up one night and my heart just felt like it was being ripped from my chest. And I got down on the ground crying in front of my tall mirror in my bedroom. And I just got on my knees and bawled. And I said, God, if you are there, if you are real, if you have loved me my whole life, I need you to take this pain away. I know I am not this person, and I don't want to be this person anymore. And in that minute, I opened my eyes and I felt peace. I felt forgiveness for everybody that was involved in that situation who I was so angry at. And that did not come from me. So then a few nights later, I had this dream. And the dream was me walking through this building, and on the walls and on the doors, it, had words: meditation, art, counseling. And in big bold letters, it said forward and strength. and strength was really big on the walls. And I had no idea what that really meant. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. You know, because you don't really know what to think of that, right? So then the next night, I had the exact same dream. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. Then the third night, I had the exact same dream. And I said, okay, God, I know that this is from you. And I took everything I could remember over the last 3 nights and I wrote it down, just as much as I could remember. And from there, I've just been working on this. This was October of 2017. So come January 11th, 2018, I officially had the sentencing hearing, and he only got 3 months, which peeved me for how long the process took. I only got 3 months, but it was justice that he serves here. And then there will be another justice that he serves when he dies, when he faces Jesus one day. And I had peace with that. And I was able to forgive him on the stand. And I just remember the last words that I said to him were, I hope that you never have to get a letter thrown in your face from the Sexual Assault Treatment Center, from your daughter, like you made me do to my father. And the hope that I have is, that in that sentencing, it wasn't just for me. It was for everybody who he may have harmed in the past, anybody who he was gonna, harm in the future. I wasn't just doing it for me, I was doing it for my moms. I was doing it for my sisters. I was doing it for my friends and my aunts and my family who I had talked to, who never had the courage to stand up and say anything. And I'm so thankful that although it was so hard to face that day, that I did it for them, not just for me. And when I took those steps out of the courthouse, I just felt this weight, like taking off a backpack filled with bricks. And I felt free for the first time in so long, and so thankful that I found God's true heart in not just who he is, but in his love, his grace, his forgiveness, his peace, not for anger and discipline and all of these things that we want to believe our Heavenly Father is because of the earthly father that we have. He is a good God who loves us and wants the best for us. And so although he couldn't protect me from that happening because I wasn't willing in that time in my life to follow him and to trust him wholeheartedly, he gave me a purpose from all of that. And it's a purpose that I'm walking in today. So January 18, the sentencing hearing happened. February 2018. My friend at the time, Austin, invited me to Bible study at Pine Hills Church. And I was in this place at that time where I was diving deep into church podcasts. I was going to church every week, doing as much as I can to serve in the Lutheran church that I was a part of, and or that I grew up in, and just doing as much as I could. And I had posted one Lenten Wednesday that year in February, just this picture of my pamphlet in church, and so he reached out to me and said, "Hey, you know, there's a young adults Bible study that's meeting," and it was the craziest thing for me because that night before, I took that picture of that pamphlet. But I said to God, if this is where you have me, I need you to use me. But if you need me to be somewhere else, I need you to take me there. And I found such a community of Christ men and women, older and younger, and those, my age, who are broken. It is a church that acts as a hospital where everybody who walks through those doors every week is broken, is suffering, is dealing with stuff, and they're open and vulnerable about it. And that is what I needed in that season, because there still was healing that I needed to figure out. And I am so thankful that I made that switch to Pine Hills, and just to see what God has done with me in that time. So then March of that year, I attended my first ladies Bible study separate from the young adults ministry. And that very first night, God said, you're telling them. And I was like, telling them what? And he's like, you're telling them everything. And so, surrounded by a group of 10 to 12 women that I did not know, barely knew their first names, I said, God needs me to tell you why he has led me here. And from that conversation, I have every Monday dedicated my lives to those girls. A few of them have helped me in this planning process, and so many more that are supporting me along the way, to leading me into a relationship, and then now a marriage with Austin, who had led me to Bible study that day, and we now have a beautiful baby girl together, to a year later in 2019 leading me with another friend to lead a Bible study, facilitate that. And that was something I would have never guessed from him. And just the growth in seeing the baggage and the pain I hold, not only from my past, but from that situation. The strongholds I need to break, the areas of my life that I need to, to work on. It's what Forward is all about. Taking those trauma, those significant moments in your life, and moving forward every day, surrounded by a community of women for now, but hopefully men. Hopefully we get into an area where we can involve children who have been through a traumatic situation. And just being able to walk alongside each other as we deal with the brokenness of trauma, from, a loss of a family member, to cancer, to sexual assault, domestic abuse, abortion. And so many things are cyclical. And because one thing happens, another thing happens. And to just be able to be there. There's people that have supported me along the way. There's people that I've lost along the way as I'm trying to figure out this new place with Christ in my life, and trying to stay obedient to what he has for me. I lost a really important lady in my life this year who loved and was the strongest support for me during my sexual assault, my grandma. And I know she's with me. She's the guardian angel for me. She's the guardian angel for my baby girl. And the craziest part in this journey of going to Pine Hills, continuing to build up forward and figuring out what is supposed to become of it, I went back to the Sexual Assault Treatment Center and met with Angela and the ladies there. And when I was talking about, what God had placed on my heart and what I was creating, she started crying. And I was like, what the heck? And she said, Caitlin, I will always remember you and your mom walking up to our facility because there was a big guardian angel behind you. And I knew that there was a purpose for you enduring this. And so I know that my purpose is kind of coming more full circle of understanding why certain things in my life have happened over the last 5-6 years. Being thankful for the choices that I have made, because it's led me to where I'm at today, learning and growing. And my husband asked me one time a few years back, if you had to do it all over again, would you? And I said, in a heartbeat. Because in that moment, as hard as it was to see the strength, the forgiveness, the purpose, the light that I feel like I have from enduring that situation, I would do it all over again. I would do it in place of my sisters or my mom, my grandmas, to protect them. We're here together, and in this world we will always face trials. The verse that stuck with me throughout this whole time is Proverbs 31:25. She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. And there definitely is fear in the unknown of what's going to happen. But God gave me that gift of strength, which allowed me to lift myself up from that pit of feeling gross and disgusting, and to find some dignity within myself, like the woman at the well, and to just take pride in where He's taking me, and knowing and telling all of you that He is the one that did it. And I want Him to be the one to allow you to feel that same healing as well. I am so excited for what this is going to be. We're just starting. We have a fundraiser currently right now for Forward Period, because it's the only choice that you have. It's the only option. You can only keep moving forward, period. Okay, so we are so excited for this. This is just going to help fund some of the initial costs that we will have just as we're getting started. My hope is to start sometime this summer or early fall, but we will see where that goes. So I thank you so much for listening to my story and the reason why I have created this, because it's not mine. It is God's, but I'm just here to help facilitate it, and I hope that you can join me and be along the way for the process. I thank you to all the family and friends who have already been along the process with me, and I'm just so excited to see where it's going to go from here. Thank you guys, and have a great night.